Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the United Nations had an update on the government of the tiny tyrant in the desert of Iran. The UN nuclear watchdog agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, has released their new report on Iran's nuclear site. This facility, called Fordow, is being built inside a mountain near the religious city of Qom. The IAEA concluded the facility had no relevance to any alleged civilian power program. Western analysis say Fordow's small size will only allow enrichment of small amounts of uranium, enough to make a nuclear bomb, but not enough to fuel a nuclear power station. Are we surprised with this finding? The IAEA said in its report that Iran was not able to convince them that they weren't hiding other nuclear sites. Well, imagine that. The government of Iran sponsors acts of terrorism all over the world. Now this thuggish government seeks to threaten the world with nuclear holocausts. For 30 years, Iran has used terrorism, assassination squads, and hostages as their foreign policy. And Mr. Speaker, just look at the way this government treats its own people. The people of Iran live in fear of their own government and their own president. Iranian state television yesterday reported that 5 Iranian citizens were sentenced to death for peaceably protesting the fraudulent presidential elections in June. That's right, they got the death penalty for exercising the human right to peaceably assemble. And in this third world country, the death penalty rules the day. Further, Mr. Speaker, the world witnessed earlier this year how the government even murdered its own people in the streets who peacefully protest the presidential elections that were rigged by Ahmadinejad. The cries of the murdered are from the blood of the Iranian freedom patriots who want freedom in their own country. More than 100 prominent opposition leaders in Iran are now being tried for peacefully protesting. Brave men and women of Iran who refuse to be trampled by the tiny tyrant Ahmadinejad. Now, the United States should stand with the people of Iran that oppose this illegitimate reign of terror by their government and by their president. The government of Iran is the threat to world peace, especially peace in the Middle East. The sanctions that have been imposed by the UN and other nations on Iran have failed to get the attention of the desert rat Ahmadinejad. He continues to build his nuclear weapons. He continues to build intercontinental ballistic missiles so that he can fire those nuclear weapons. He continues to finance terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. He continues to meddle in the lawful affairs of Iraq, including supporting assaults and the assassinations against the Iranian people that are in Camp Ashraf. He sends aid and comfort to al-Qaeda and to the Taliban in Afghanistan that war troops and NATO troops. The key to world peace and peace in Iran is a regime change sponsored by the freedom-loving citizens of Iran. Those noble citizens who have now become the enemy of their own government deserve our support and our encouragement here in America. Mr. Speaker, deep down in the soul of every person who ever has been or ever will be born is the spark for freedom. The sons of liberty and the daughters of democracy in Iran have their hearts that spark for that liberty, and they will not be quenched by the tiny tyrant of Iran. It is imperative that the United States recognize the true threat to world peace, Ahmadinejad, and that we as a nation and that we as a people stand shoulder to shoulder with the good folks in Iran, the citizens of Iran that want a change in their government. And that's just the way it is. I yield back.